Good morning. It is 7 o'clock Monday morning, which doesn't really matter right now what day it is since the lockdown. Every day feels like a Sunday, but it is 7 o'clock Monday morning. Good morning. Hello. If you're new here, I'm Claudia. Thank you so much for being here. Today I want to show you everything I eat in a day, and keep in mind it varies from day to day. I also want to talk about intermittent fasting and some other things. But first things first, you might ask, why do I eat dark chocolate first thing in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning? Because I love it. Seriously, I love dark chocolate. I eat dark chocolate almost every morning when I get up. It's something I look forward to. I look forward to getting out of bed, having my dark chocolate. It's healthy, it's antioxidant. Life is short, so that's why I eat it. I also don't drink coffee, so this kind of wakes me up. I eat 85%, so hardly any sugar in here, just a lot of good antioxidants, and like I said, life is short. So I'm going to enjoy my dark chocolate right now. I'm going to have some hot lemon water, only because I like the taste of it. We hear that hot lemon water alkalines us, detoxifies us. I don't know, I like the taste of it. I drink it with my vitamins, and then I'm going to have some breakfast, and I'll show you what it is. So for breakfast this morning, I'm having some of my bread, and if you haven't made this, it is delicious. I will link the recipe down below. This is flour-free bread, flourless bread, whatever you want to call it. It is very, very rich in omega-3s and protein. It is delicious with just about anything on top, avocado or something sweet, whatever you want to put on top. But I'm having mine with some pistachio butter and some nutso butter, and then some bananas, and I cannot wait to have this. But let me put it aside for a second. I get a lot of questions about intermittent fasting, and of course you've heard of intermittent fasting, and intermittent fasting is very promising. There are a lot of studies done on intermittent fasting, and actually I made a video on it several months ago. I will link that down below as well, but in it I talked about the studies that have been done on intermittent fasting. They're very, very promising. Intermittent fasting promises things such as longevity, anti-inflammation, possible cancer prevention, weight loss, a whole host of other things. Most of the studies we have on intermittent fasting are done on rodents. We do have some short-term studies now coming out in humans, and they look promising as well. And actually for the longest time I said intermittent fasting would never be for me, because most of you know that have been on this channel for a while that I used to be anorexic for quite a long time. So I always thought intermittent fasting definitely not something I would ever do, because I was afraid that it would trigger my eating disorder again. But because the studies are so promising, I was curious about it a while ago, and I thought, you know what, I know I'm recovered now, I know I'm healthy, I'm fine. let me try it. I thought I would try it for at least a week, journal it or document it, and then tell you what I thought about it. Well, I lasted all of 3 days. And let me tell you, I was miserable in those 3 days. Now, first of all, let me say that if you're somebody who intermittent fasts, awesome, more power to you. I do think that there are definitely benefits to intermittent fasting, and I am sure as time goes on, we will have more human studies showing all the incredible benefits that intermittent fasting can bring. You can hear all the birds outside, it's beautiful. Anyways, if you're somebody who intermittent fasts, more power to you. And if it's done for the right reasons, and by right reasons I mean if it's done for longevity, for anti-inflammation, for cancer prevention, if it's done for anything but weight loss, and I'll get to that in a second, then I think more power to you. But for me, those 3 days where I tried intermittent fasting, I was miserable. And here is why. First of all, I love breakfast. I love getting up in the morning and knowing that I have something delicious like this right here waiting for me to eat. It just makes me happy. I also wake up really hungry. And that gets me to the second part, why intermittent fasting did not or would not work for me, because I do wake up really hungry. And for me, having been anorexic, I have ignored my hunger signals, or really any signal my body sent me, for so long. And it obviously was not healthy, not just physically, but also mentally. So when I did those 3 long days of my intermittent fasting experience, I really felt that I was totally working against everything that I worked so hard on, like actually learning to listen to what my body is telling me. So I was completely ignoring my hunger. I would get up in the morning really hungry, ignore it, count the hours and minutes till I could finally eat. And it made me really grumpy, not just because I had a physical hunger, but also because there was that little voice inside of me that said, what are you doing? You've worked so hard on finally listening to your body and being good to your body, and now you're just ignoring it all. Now, this might sound quite dramatic if you haven't had an eating disorder and if you intermittent fast and it works for you. But for me, it did not work for those reasons. And that is why I'm saying I think that if you do intermittent fasting for any other reason than weight loss, I think it's great. And I think, like I said, there are many benefits to it. However, I personally feel that if it is done for weight loss, then I feel it's just sort of another way. And this is from my personal experience, and it might not be for you. I can just talk about what I personally feel. But for me, I feel that if intermittent fasting is done for weight loss, it's just another way of dealing with a not so healthy relationship we have with food. And again, this is my own personal experience. So please, if you intermittent fast and it works for you, even if it works for you for weight loss, please don't be offended. This is just my own opinion. But for me, even if I would know for sure that I, for example, could extend my lifespan. Let's say if I intermittent fasted daily, I could live for 5 extra years. I would say no thank you, because truthfully, having been where I have been and having basically wasted so many decades obsessing over food and starving myself, to me, quality of life now is way more important. So I would say no thank you. I want to be able to get up in the mornings and eat when I'm hungry. Now, if you are somebody who wakes up in the morning and is not hungry, that's great. Then don't eat. If you listen to your body, if you're really truly not hungry, don't eat. Then you're not necessarily doing intermittent fasting, or if you want to call it that, that's great too. But you're just really listening to your body, and that's a great thing. But for me personally, I don't ever want to obsess about food anymore. And in those 3 long, short days, whatever you want to call it, when I did my little experiment, that's what I felt I was doing. I was constantly thinking about food. I was thinking about, still that many hours until I can eat. Then I had to figure out, when am I going to eat the next meal so that I will be hungry for the last meal, so that I don't eat too late and then have to stretch the window in the morning out even further. So for me, it became this sort of obsession about food again. And that is something that I don't ever want in my life again. I want to look at food as what it is, nourishment for my body. I want to eat it when I'm hungry for it. Like right now, I really want to dig into this. And then I just want to move on with my day. And I want to do something else until the next meal comes along. And then I'll worry about it. So that is my long-winded answer to the question, do I intermittent fast? I really want to dig into this. So let's try it. Let's see, should we do pistachio butter or nuts? So let's do the pistachio butter first. And let's see. Yes. Yeah. It's really delicious. I'm going to enjoy this now, and I will see you for lunch. I just got done working out. I'm nice and sweaty. My husband and I actually worked out together. It's been really nice having him home through the quarantine and having a workout buddy. But I made us this juice right here. This is apple, orange, lemon, ginger, turmeric, and carrots. And I throw the whole lemon and the whole orange in there because they're both organic. This is quite delicious. And I'm going to enjoy this now, take a shower, then I'll show you what I have for lunch and talk to you about what I do instead of intermittent fasting. So for lunch, I made a beautiful salad. This is a bunch of greens, and I mean a bunch of greens, bunch of different greens as well. There are tomatoes in here, peas, roasted chickpeas, marinated and baked tofu, some potato wedges, half an avocado, some hummus, some pistachios. I dressed it with a dressing that is made out of balsamic, mustard, and what is the other one? Maple syrup, and it is actually delicious. So cannot wait to dig into this. But I wanted to talk about real fast what I do instead of intermittent fasting. And again, let me put this down. Again, no doubt that there are numerous benefits of intermittent fasting. However, I talked about why I do an intermittent fast. So what I do instead is, and I don't really like the term because I feel like it's been a little bit overused, but I eat intuitively, which basically just means I eat when I'm hungry, I stop when I'm full. And when I'm hungry, I try to eat what I'm hungry for, within reason, right? I also want to think about what is good for my body, what does my body need right now. However, since I have been doing this for several years now, most of the time, what I'm craving, what I'm hungry for, is actually what's good for my body. When I first started this whole thing, eating when hungry, stopping when full, and eating what I'm hungry for, it was a concept that really scared me. First of all, I didn't know what it meant to feel hungry. Back then, I had such a hole inside my stomach and my soul and my heart that I was constantly hungry. It was this emotional hunger, right, that just couldn't be filled. So I was constantly hungry, so I didn't know what it actually meant to be physically hungry. I also had ignored that for so long. And then being full, I had no idea what that meant either, because I did have that big hole inside of me that I just couldn't fill. So I would eat way past being full and satisfied to almost being nauseous. So it was a concept that definitely scared me and not something that came easily. And also the whole idea of eating what I'm hungry for, because of course we all fear that I'm just going to eat ice cream all day long, right? That's actually what I thought I would do. However, I don't. I'm not saying it was an easy thing to learn for me, to learn when am I actually physically hungry, then listen to it and eat. And then also when am I full and then stop. And what am I hungry for? Again, within reason, right? But that within reason, because I'm allowing myself to eat what I'm hungry for, I'm actually not wanting to eat ice cream all the time. I'm actually wanting to eat salads. I actually love salads. I actually love fruit. But I do know that if I want something sweet, I will allow myself to eat it. And so because it is something I'm allowing myself to do, it's not something I constantly want. And even if I do eat it, a little bit will usually just be enough. And of course, because I do listen to those signals now that my body is sending me, when am I hungry, when am I full, what I eat, how much I eat, always varies. I'm not always eating the same portions. I might finish the salad off, I might not, I might want something afterwards. It always changes depending on how active I am, what's going on in my life. But some days I might eat a whole bunch of calories. I don't know how many calories I eat because I don't count them. But if I had to guess, I would say I eat around 2,500 to 3,000. So some days I might go over 3,000, but other days I go under it, and I go under maybe 2,500 because I'm just not that hungry. So it all balances out. But for me, actually, eating when I'm hungry, listening to that. And let me tell you, I used to listen to people say, oh, I forgot to eat because I just was too busy. And I would think, how is that even possible? How can you forget to eat? Because food was constantly on my mind. I would constantly think I would have breakfast, whatever I would allow myself to breakfast, right? Some food that I really didn't want. And then I would already think about, what am I going to eat for lunch? And then what am I going to eat for dinner? So food was constantly on my mind. I thought, how can anybody forget to eat? However, now that I actually just eat when I'm hungry, stop when I'm full, that actually does happen sometimes. It will be like 9 o'clock at night and I go, oh man, I haven't even thought about what to have for dinner. So that, having really learned to listen to my hunger signals, which, by the way, was not easy. I'm not saying it was easy. It was really a very difficult thing to do. But having learned that and just looking at food at what it is, it's nourishment, right? It's nourishment for our body. That's the number one thing. It's a little bit of nourishment for the soul, of course, as well. However, if we allow ourselves to be nourished by it, if we allow ourselves to actually have our soul nourished by it too, then most of the time we don't even need food as nourishment for our soul because we are being good to ourselves. So anyways, I hope that makes sense, but that is what I do. I eat when I'm hungry, I stop when I'm full, and it has given me such a freedom to not have to think about food all day long, has freed up a lot of energy to think about other things. So I am going to enjoy the salad right now, and I will see you for dinner. All right, finished it all up. Now some dessert. I am back with dinner, and we are having a beautiful Buddha bowl. I have a bunch of brown rice. There are some slightly burnt potato wedges in here. There is some more marinated tofu from lunch, some peas, some black beans, which I have left over from the other night, some more roasted chickpeas from lunch, some avocado. I think that's it. I got some more hummus. This looks beautiful, I think, and it smells delicious, and I can't wait to dig into it. I want to say that if you intermittent fast and it works for you, then that is awesome. I do not want to discourage you from doing it. And I think that if intermittent fasting is done for, let's say, longevity, for cancer prevention, for anti-aging, for anything but a diet, then I think it's a worthwhile thing to do. And if it works for you, then that is awesome. I personally am not for any diets, whether we call it whatever. And so if intermittent fasting is done to lose weight, then it's just another diet. And I think it's just another way to deal with a not quite so healthy relationship with food we have, which no judgment at all, because I definitely had a very messed up relationship with food. But having gotten to the point where I have a good relationship with food, it is again such a freedom. And so if that is the reason you do intermittent fasting, if you even do intermittent fasting, then I think there's a better way than learning to actually look at food as what it is, nourishment, eat when you're hungry, stop when you're full, as difficult as it is to learn that, because let's face it, intermittent fasting is not easy either. I did it for 3 days, did not like it. So anyways, I think if it is done for any other reason but as a diet, then it's a worthwhile thing to do. And the studies on it, like I said, look really promising, whether they're done in rodents or not. More studies are coming out in humans saying that there are benefits. So I would say if that's the reason you're doing it, go for it. I never ever want to discourage anybody from doing it. I do think that it is a good idea to stop eating at a certain point at night. It is right now 6:45, so we're gonna eat about 7. Hopefully we'll be done about 7:15. I'm gonna put this down. And then what I do is I brush my teeth and then I'm done eating. I might have some dessert. If I do, I come back and I'll show you. But if not, then I'll say goodbye now. But anyways, that's what I do. After eating, if I have some dessert after that, I brush my teeth and then I'm done. So what I try to do is not eat after 7 o'clock. That doesn't always happen. Sometimes I eat at 8, sometimes I eat at 9. Not ideal, but life happens and I'm just not hungry before that, or I'm busy. But I try to at least, if I can, be done eating at about 7. And then I will eat breakfast at 7:30 the next day. So I allow myself about 12 hours. And I think that's a good idea. I think it is a good idea. First of all, I notice I sleep better when I do that. If I eat late and then go to bed with a full stomach, I definitely don't sleep that well. And you know, our stomach then has to work, it has to digest, and it takes energy away from a deep sleep. So I do think it's a good idea to not do late night snacking if you can avoid it, and then give yourself a break, because a little bit of a fast, like a 12-hour fast or so, I think is a good idea. I just don't like the idea of ignoring your hunger signals. And again, if you intermittent fast and you have no problem with it, if you're not hungry, if you're just not hungry for breakfast, or you're just not hungry for dinner, if you're doing a circadian rhythm intermittent fasting, then that is completely okay. Then you're listening to your body. I just want to encourage people to listen to their body, because if we do, if we listen to our bodies, if we actually work with our bodies, life is so much nicer. So that's all I have to say. I want to eat this Buddha bowl before it gets cold. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Let me know down below if you intermittent fast, or if you feel like me that it's best to just listen to when you're hungry, eating then, stopping when you're full. Also, let me know if you have difficulties with that, and if I can maybe help you with it somehow. Not that I'm the expert on it. I had to just learn it the hard way too, but maybe I can help you somehow. So thank you so much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you next time. Bye.